the other point is this, that in the history of freedom, there's this, both sides have their own disabilities. For the tyrannical, for the authoritarians, it's that when they win, they eventually lose because their societies crumble apart and become disasters. Okay, but but for free people, people who get freedom, the major disability is that just naturally there are a bunch of people who, because they're damaged people, like John Lennon said, one thing you can't hide is when you're crippled inside. And some people are just damaged, broken little robots, you know, spitting nuts and bolts at everyone as they go down the street, pissing oil on people. All right? And one of the weaknesses of a free people is that to protect their freedom, all the free people have to protect the freedom of these people as far as they possibly can. And this is a disability. It's a necessary disability. You know, the ACLU ought to be one of the most beloved organizations in the world, but it's hated because, for good or at least defensible reasons, it is constantly defending Nazis and you know, people who want to revel in their child molestation or whatever. You know, they're constantly championing the ickiest people in the world, and it's hard to like them when they do it, and it's depressing to realize how much of their valuable resources for fighting in truly first level useful causes instead get spent protecting the flank of freedom from people who will use the worst that society has to offer to argue that freedom must be curtailed. Okay? Has anyone, is this news to anyone? Okay? So the people around here who just love to piss on people, you know, I defend their freedom, and they have their fucking freedom. Getting banned from YouTube is in the big picture of things, certainly having a video removed in the big picture of things is such a minor thing. I mean, go anywhere if you really want to be a martyr, but not here. This is, you know, we're fighting for things not to get worse and for things to get better, but we are not, you know, shivering freedom fighters under a bridge. And these people can do whatever they want, but please, please, the rest of you, don't idolize them for it, unless that's what you aspire to be in your life. You know, a broken little robot limping down the street, pissing oil on people. Nick, I want you to get your account back or a new account, and I would love for YouTube to rework its policies so that no one ever loses their account. So that if there is some legitimate problem with a video, that video is taken down. And if there is some sort of pattern of violation of the law in the posting of videos, and it must be discouraged, I would argue for suspending people's uploading privileges for some set of time, rather than having their accounts destroyed, which is an assault on our virtual selves here on YouTube. And even though we come here of our own free will, once we're here, we must have rights. Okay? So that's where I stand on that. But because I'm pissing off, 75% of the vocal atheists that I have seen on this site with the things that I'm saying here, I might as well go a little step further. Nick, I want you to tell me whether or not you actually created an account called Glenn Reb Sucks. If you didn't, I'll believe you. I just want to know, okay? Because you didn't say. And the reason I want to know, Nick, and of course you don't have to tell me, I don't have any power, but if you did, you went to that much trouble and that much smallness to try to mock a guy who is a self-mockery, a guy who, if you created a character like that in a movie, you'd be accused of perpetuating a lying, hurtful stereotype of Christians. He's an astounding piece of work. He's his own worst enemy. Did you do that? Now, I'm setting myself up to look like an asshole for even asking you. But here's the reason that I ask you. I missed this because I don't subscribe to Brett Keane. I only hear about Brett Keane secondhand, so I don't know exactly what happened, but apparently you went after him for going too far, I guess, in the Bible burning video or whatever. And you, as you've said it yourself, and practically everyone else says it, are one of the calmest, most reasoned atheists on YouTube. But when you closed your own account last year and abruptly went away, before I heard your side of the story, when I simply saw it happen, the first thing that popped into my mind was that you, because I can tell that you're a good person and a person who is not a solipsistic atheist, the first thought that came into my mind was, he's feeling bad because of the nativity video that he did, the little Christmas video. Now, there's a long history of mean theories about where Jesus really came from, dating back to antiquity. And we don't really know who Jesus was, or even if he was illegitimate. And I know from personal family history that the model of some stranger who comes in the night and leaves a young girl pregnant, is certainly true, and certainly true back then. So it's all good. It's all justifiable, and we've all got free speech. And you can't speak truth to Christianity without mocking Christianity. Okay? But there's a line somewhere, and every atheist wants to go over that line. There's nothing more maddening than religious faith to someone who just doesn't get it. And I'm one of those. I genuinely cannot understand how someone could believe these ridiculous supernatural stories. And if any of you have actually watched any of my other videos, you can see that I am looking for a kind of mysticism somewhere else, and I've tried to explain it. I haven't really done a very good job. It's not my tradition. It's a very scientific tradition, very scientific. I'll have to do some more videos about it. But I certainly don't believe in any of that crap, and I know how insanely irritating it is that people believe these fairy stories. Okay? But whether you're talking to Christians in the hope of getting through to them, or talking to other atheists in the hope of supporting their journey through a hostile world, and despite the fact that we all have freedom to do any fucking thing we want, you know, and despite the fact that most of the consequences should be abolished for doing whatever the fuck we want, some shouldn't. And one is that, atheists or not, we are part of the human species. And you, among intellectual proselytizing atheists here on YouTube, are clearly one of the human atheists. You have some kind of a human life going on. And did you not notice that you had entered a vast gray area there? Now, you didn't cross any massive boundary. It was distasteful to me, even though I don't know who Jesus really was. I know that the Bible is extremely false about him, and I don't want to ever be put in the position of having to kowtow to some Christian's idea of Jesus' divinity. But at the same time, I think I understand the difference between making our points, defending our rights, and just deliberately goading Christians into their usual Christian behavior by behaving like they expect us to, because God damn it, we've got that right. This is just a very common thing in human existence. And great big, very wealthy industries like hip hop get to be built up on acting out your enemy's worst nightmares of you. But is that all that atheism is? You know, are we just going to end up with ethical Satanism? You know, I thought about actually sticking a clip in here of Anton LaVey talking from 1968 because he was an atheist. He didn't believe in a literal devil any more than, a literal God. And he was a cheerfully self-confessed con man in a lot of ways. He was also, a pathological liar about his own life, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the point of the whole story was he makes a number of very good atheistic arguments and makes them in a way that, for his time and in his place, was designed for maximum titillation of the resentful and maximum outrage to the thoughtlessly pious. Now, I don't want to be a Satanist. I don't want to be the Satanist equivalent of a Unitarian. That's what I sort of see happening here. It's like, I piss on your cross because it means nothing to me. Really? It means nothing to you? Okay. I think I've attracted enough mindless and ego-driven criticism from my fellow atheists with this diatribe. So I'll just sign off saying, I hope you get back here, Nick, and when you do, I certainly hope that you get to say whatever you want, and I certainly hope that YouTube does not use inconsistent standards on any of us, and we have to do something to force that on them, I think. We, not just atheists, but YouTubers. And I don't expect you, to have somehow taught you a lesson about being more Christ-like in your atheism. No. I didn't come here to be anybody's teacher. But I did come here to say what I want to say, and sometimes that means having to say it to people who are going to fuck with me for saying it. And when that happens, in my case, I do try my damnedest not to belittle them any more than reason demands, and sometimes less. And if you look at history, you will see that any claim that beating the shit out of any Christian or Muslim who stands up for his nonsensical beliefs is going to make the change happen. You're deluded. You're deluded.